module. Let's go over the supply chain management module. It covers our entire procurement, service sourcing, warehousing, as well as our inventory management. The supply chain management solution is an end-to-end application allowing organizations to handle multiple business processes from a single interface. From your material management to your purchasing, from your quality inspections to your customer dispatches, from stock allocations to transport orders. This one interface shall allow the organization to suffice all its procurement, inventory, and warehousing needs from a single interface. To begin with, let's begin with the material request. This is the first step for a supply chain management solution. As we see over here, this is where an employee or an organization can create an interface where a material request can be filed in. For an example, a material request can be filed in against a demand plan or an MR for a particular quarter, or a new MR or a material request for a particular project. Let's begin with an example by creating a material request. Now, when we go to create a material request, it needs to be categorized for a breakdown activity or a high priority requirement or a normal material request. Following below the name as well as the source of this particular material request. Whether it is a make-to-order material request or a breakdown maintenance request, preventive maintenance, customer service, demand planning, material requirement planning, or a manual request for a material. You can determine the item type, the item group, the supplier group, as well as all the other details regarding that material request. Then going into the financials of that particular material request, you can determine what particular budget does this material request need to qualify from for it to be procured. Which particular department does this budget needs to go reference to? Which particular cost center this material request needs to affect? And then going down to even further project, which particular operating unit. You can determine the workflow it needs to follow for being approved, the item asset for which you're raising the particular material request from. Now, as you raise a particular material request, it follows the entire cycle of an issue for that material request if it is available in the inventory, or an automatic purchase requisition is raised if that item is not available in your inventory. Following which you follow the cycle of an RFQ, a request for quotation being sent, then a quotation comparison is done based on the quotations that are received from your vendors. As an example, we'll pick up a sample over here from vendor responses. These are the 4 vendor responses that have been received for these particular items. Now, as we see, each particular vendor has provided different set of prices for different set of items. For that particular material request, this particular item, this particular vendor has provided a price of 175. Maybe for this particular vendor has provided a price of 180. So it does a comparison for you as well as providing you a rating based on your requirement. The reason that you need to specify a reason for which you're defining a rating for this particular vendor on the basis of this item. Going further, now getting back into the application stack. Now, as we move ahead from MR to getting a vendor selection process, a purchase order is raised. On the basis of this purchase order, receiving is done. When it comes to the receiving part, we have one single application for a warehouse user, which is the warehouse user dashboard. This is a unique application where we've used this area as a reusable component, where it's a touch-friendly single interface application for your dispatches, for your release against material indents, for your receivings, for your material release against requests, for your receiving against your purchase orders also. So as you request a particular section, this reusable component populates on the basis of your selection. Now, as an example, I selected receiving. That's for this area is populated with the particular receiving that I've selected over here. I can also do it for the dispatch. As I selected dispatch, this area again auto-populates on the basis of a dispatch, the dispatch order that I've selected. So it's a reusable component which adapts on the basis of the user's selection. Going further now, this is an entire application which takes care of your purchasing, inventory, procurement, as well as an analysis of your supply chain cycle. As an example, we will look at our material stock data explorer. This is one example of the capability of the FusionFOX supply chain management solution, which allows you to drill down and get a report based on your item catalog, your item type, drilling down further to your grouping, subgrouping, your supplier grouping, or a specific item also. Another advantage is the detailed reports that are printed out out of an Excel format. You can export it to an Excel format, you can detach it for a larger view, and then you can select what particular columns you wish to view and what particular columns you don't wish to view. Maybe you can select a particular report where you do not wish to view your unit of measurement and you do not want to see your item code. So it creates a report on the basis of the columns that you want to view, and it creates a selection over here. You can choose export over here, and as you choose export, this particular report that you're viewing over here gets exported to an Excel file. Along with that, you have filtering options over here where you can select, if I only want to see engine spare parts, I can choose over here, and as I do that filtering, the data visible to me will be according to my filter. So it's a very user-friendly experience where reporting is very dynamic and allows you to get the exact data that you need at the click of a button. Looking at the further analytic capability of the supply chain management solution, you have your MR analytics where it is tracking the MRs that have been raised, approved, and what stage are they at. Your PO analytics as well as your purchase order tracking. The head of the departments or the management can have a view at what stage the purchase order is at and what have not been approved. Now maintain item details at warehouse. You can maintain your item details at a particular level, your purchase requisition analytics, and a completely dynamic report generator which generates report regarding any particular vertical in your supply chain cycle.